The excitement of winning any amount of money, from a small $20 scratch-off to a $5,000 jackpot, must be immediately overridden by the grim reality of federal benefit rules. If you receive means-tested aid like Supplemental Security Income, SSI, SNAP, Section 8 housing, or Medicaid, a sudden influx of cash, no matter how small, is a direct existential threat to your financial security. Different assistance programs treat these winnings with harsh, complicated, and unforgiving rules. A failure to report or a single day's delay in spending down the money could trigger an immediate, devastating cascade of suspended payments, overpayment debt, or the total loss of critical aid. This is an emergency briefing on the crucial action you must take immediately to shield your benefits. The immediate danger. Unearned income and the system alarm. Lottery, raffle, casino, or sweepstakes winnings are all universally classified as unearned income, money received that was not gained through work. This unearned status subjects the funds to the most severe scrutiny by federal and state agencies. First, the system is designed to catch you. The IRS acts as the first alarm. Winnings exceeding $600 are automatically flagged on a Form W-2G, which is shared with federal agencies. For wins over $5,000, the required 24% federal tax withholding occurs before you ever see the money, but the remaining amount is still tracked and scrutinized. State lottery commissions are mandated to report significant payouts directly to federal agencies, meaning you cannot hide this money. The moment a lump sum is deposited, the clock on your benefits starts running out. Catastrophic Risk Level 1. Supplemental Security Income, SSI. SSI recipients face the most immediate and complex threat due to the program's dual requirements for both income and resources. The income test, the month of the win. When you receive a lump sum lottery payment, it is counted as unearned income in the calendar month of receipt. The Social Security Administration, SSA, applies a minuscule $20 general exclusion to your total unearned income for that month. After this small deduction, the remainder of the winnings is counted dollar for dollar against your SSI payment for that month. A $500 win, for instance, could reduce your monthly SSI check by $480, potentially reducing it to zero or near zero for that month. The resource test, the day after the win month. This is the most critical threat. If any portion of the lottery money remains in your bank account or accessible assets on the first moment of the following calendar month, it transforms from income into a resource. The ironclad limit. The resource limits are absolutely unforgiving. $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a couple. Suspension is automatic. If your total resources exceed these limits on the first day of the month after your win, your SSI benefits are immediately suspended. This suspension remains in force until you can demonstrate that your resources have dropped back below the limit. For a large win, this forced suspension could last for several months, plunging you into an immediate financial emergency. Mandatory action, the spend down. To survive this threat, you must execute a spend down. The money must be spent on exempt resources, items that do not count against the $2,000 or $3,000 limit, before the end of the calendar month in which you received the winnings. Exempt spend down examples: paying off current debts, credit cards, loans, with supporting documentation, purchasing an essential exempt asset, such as a single primary vehicle, paying off a mortgage or making critical repairs to your principal place of residence, purchasing home furnishings or appliances, setting up a bona fide burial fund up to $1,500. Immediate reporting is non-negotiable. You must report the win and the subsequent spend down to your local SSA office within 10 calendar days of receiving the money, keeping meticulous receipts for every single dollar spent to prove the transaction occurred within the necessary time frame. The SSA's new bank monitoring system, AFI, will flag the large deposit regardless of whether you report it, leading to a massive overpayment demand if you fail to act and report correctly. Catastrophic Risk Level 2, SNAP, Food Assistance. SNAP has distinct federal and state-level rules that can terminate your eligibility. The $80 threshold. Federal regulations mandate that any lottery or gambling winnings over $80 count as income in the month received. Small wins will cause a minor reduction, but larger lump sums will inevitably push your household's total monthly income far over the eligibility limit, causing a temporary loss of benefits. Substantial Winnings Rule. Some states apply an additional rule for substantial lottery winnings, often defined as $3,500 or more. Under this rule, winning such a substantial amount can lead to an immediate loss of eligibility, and you may have to fully reapply, often losing your categorically eligible status in the process. Mandatory action for SNAP. You must report winnings to your State Department of Human Services, DHS, within 10 days. If your benefits are suspended, you must spend down the money to meet the income and resource requirements and immediately reapply with full verification to regain eligibility. Catastrophic Risk Level 3, Section 8 Housing Assistance. Section 8 is not subject to SSI's strict resource limit, but it is acutely sensitive to any change in household income, which directly determines your rent contribution. Rent recalculation. The moment you receive a lottery lump sum, you are required to notify your local public housing authority, PHA. They will treat the winning amount as a temporary but immediate increase in your household's total income. Increased rent/suspension. This increased income forces the PHA to recalculate your tenant rent contribution, TRC. Even a mid-sized win can cause your portion of the rent to increase significantly for the next certification period. A very large win could lead to the temporary suspension of your subsidy, forcing you to pay the full, unassisted market rent until your financial situation returns to normal. Mandatory action for Section 8. Report all changes in income to your housing authority within the 10 to 30-day window specified in your lease agreement. Failure to report constitutes a severe lease violation that could lead to your tenancy being terminated or a crushing overpayment debt for retroactive rent subsidy repayment. Catastrophic Risk Level 4, Medicaid. Your medical coverage is at risk, with the severity depending on which category of Medicaid you receive. SSI-Based Medicaid. For those who receive Medicaid because they qualify for SSI, the eligibility is directly linked to the SSI $2,000/$3,000 resource limit. If your lottery win pushes your resources over the SSI limit, your Medicaid will be suspended concurrently with your SSI check. This means immediate loss of coverage and potential catastrophic healthcare costs. The same urgent spend-down rules apply. ACA Expansion Medicaid. If you receive Medicaid based on income alone under the Affordable Care Act expansion, resources may be disregarded. However, the lottery lump sum could drastically spike your annual income, potentially pushing you over the maximum income limit for the calendar year, leading to a temporary loss of coverage or a move into a higher premium state exchange plan. Mandatory action for Medicaid. Contact your state Medicaid agency immediately to report the change, especially if you have SSI-linked Medicaid. The safest strategy is full transparency to avoid a coverage gap. The Safe Zone: Social Security, Retirement, SSDI, and Medicare. Recipients in these categories have a massive advantage, as their eligibility is based on work history and taxes paid, not current financial need. SS Retirement and SSDI. Lottery winnings are classified as unearned income and do not affect your monthly benefit amount. The SSA does not have resource or unearned income limits for these programs. Medicare. Eligibility is based on age or disability status and is never affected by a lottery win, regardless of the amount. Mandatory action for SS/SSDI/Medicare. You are not required to report the winnings to the SSA for the purpose of adjusting your benefit amount. Your only concern is the IRS, as large winnings may increase your taxable income, which could potentially cause a larger percentage of your Social Security benefit to be taxed. The ultimate protection plan. Reporting is survival. Compliance is your only shield. You must operate with the urgency of a ticking clock. SSI. Report to SSA within 10 days. Spend down to the resource limit before the start of the next month. SNAP. Report to DHS within 10 days. Section 8. Report to the Housing Authority within their 10 to 30-day window. Medicaid. Report to the state agency immediately. Do not delay. Do not try to hide the money. Take action now. Your benefits, your safety net, depend on your absolute immediate adherence to these non-negotiable reporting rules. The time for panic is over. The time for action is now. If you have won any amount of money, SSI recipients, spend down. Report. Now. Immediately spend any amount exceeding $2,000, individual, on exempt resources. You have until the last day of the month you receive the money. Then, call the SSA at 1-800-772-1213 or visit your local office to report the win and your spend-down plan within 10 days. SNAP/Section 8/Medicaid recipients. Report immediately. Call your state DHS/Housing Authority/Medicaid agency today to report the income change. Do not wait for their deadline. Initiate contact immediately to prove compliance and avoid automatic suspension. Everyone, create your My Social Security account. Go to ssa.gov/myaccount now to create your account using login.gov or id.me. This is your only direct lifeline to monitor your benefit status, check for notices, and verify your account safety.